Okay, I'll go back to the previous discussion on nutrition, physical activity, and I'll say why part of the issue of nutrition, physical activity, and cancer is connected with the society and with the environment. About a year ago, the International Agency for Research on Cancer and many of us who participate in the expert groups, we did the European Code Against Cancer, which is what can you do to prevent your cancer? And as a person, what happens with our personal behavior is that many of them are actually defined by the society. It is not necessarily personal. The French people drink more alcohol than the Spanish and the Greek. And the Greek smoke more than the French and the Spanish. And why this happens is not only an individual decision. It is what is accepted in your society. And what is your society doing to change the conditions in which you live? So, if we go back to, say, obesity, that came out in physical activities, very important factor for many cancers. A third of the kids of the world are overweight. Where we do our studies in South Europe, half of the kids at 10 years old are overweight. And as I think Ruxandra mentioned before, it's extremely important to target these ages because this tracks in adult life. So, if we have this massive problem, does anybody in this audience who is in your senses thinks that finding the obesity genes will help us prevent the obesity epidemic and the association with cancer?
Let's see a show of hands.
No. The fact that we have the obesity, that we find the obesity genes is important. And I'm not saying that the obesity genes are not important at the individual level, but if we want to prevent obesity, we have to find the causes of obesity. We have to find the causes of the causes. And these are, to a large extent, societal. These are environmental. The fact that we have so much obesity in the United States is because urban planning has gone wrong in the United States. And unless we have this wider view, we will never manage to tackle some of the big issues. So we have to have the molecular mechanism, we have to know the molecular mechanism, we have to know the individual risk factor, we have to know the wider perspective. Otherwise, we will not be efficient to prevent some of these causes. So, we are actually in environmental epidemiology, environmental health, we are using a lot, for the reasons that Paul have said, these very modern techniques, and we are using what's called personalized approach. And the problem I have with the personalized approach is that it has been hijacked by pharmacology and by genetics. And much of the funding on the personalized approach, and I think it's very, very important that the EC and Ruxandra's guidance on funding has gone to personalized approaches. The problem here is that much of the personalized approaches have to go also in evaluating environmental exposures. We are doing it. We're having our kids in the thousands of kids, with smartphones, and we monitor where they go, and so we can monitor better air pollution. We can monitor the physical activity. We can monitor in workers how much light they are exposed, if we're talking about light exposure. We can monitor much better how they sleep, if we're talking about circadian disruption, et cetera, and effects on breast cancer. So there is we're using a lot of these technologies on the other side and on the molecular side. And we can do much better studies to understand causality. So we are not, we are
You're
working
a spectrum,
together.
basically.
We are working together.
Yeah.
But if we want to prevent some of the cancers, we cannot just prevent them by going to the molecular side. No way.